No, should be good to go. Okay. Guess I'll call the meeting to order at 6:32. Yeah. Start with the roll call. Is this where I announced that he called me and told me to be absent? I can do that now. Go in order. So Nathan
Here.
Jada,
Present.
Deborah
Here.
Kathy
Here.
Brian
Present.
Rebecca
Here.
Larry here, Rob present. Okay, and now we got that. We'll go to public comment. Whatever. Going first.
Is there a list or is there?
I don't know. No.
Just recording, okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Josh Bill, and I'm president of the Waukegan Historical Society. I'd like to say congratulations to our new trustees, all of you who are new, and thank you really to everybody. Yeah, sure. And thank you to all of you who do so much for our community. We appreciate those of you who have been able to meet with members of the Historical Society Board one-on-one to learn about our exciting plans that are underway to thoughtfully restore the beloved Carnegie Library in order that it become our expanded Waukegan History Museum. The Society and our partners at the Waukegan Park District are working closely with Parvo Architects, one of the leading preservation architects in the world. A team of experts are finalizing detailed designs, and construction will begin early next year with a 2023 opening. It's happening, and we're very excited. We hope you're sharing in our excitement. Part of our excitement too is that we're engaged with a design firm, award-winning Lucy Creative, to work on exhibits with the exhibit team here at the Historical Society, to work on inspiring design concepts and new dynamic exhibits and interactive spaces to have in this new museum. Our plans include a historic recreation of the children's reading room, and this will focus on Ray Bradbury, who was particularly influenced by many hours he spent at the Carnegie in his young years. His personal collection would be one of the centerpieces of this room. It would be given the proper exhibiting and preservation standards that the collection deserves. The intent is to acquire the collection intact and exhibit it so that it is available for the public to access through our exhibits. We had a long partnership with Waukegan Public Library, which has included many things, such as becoming owners and stewards of the library's Waukegan and Illinois history collections, as well as recently the US EPA archives. So tonight, we'd like to submit, with your permission, letters of support from Dr. Jonathan Eller, co-founder of Indiana University's Center for Ray Bradbury Studies, and Bradbury's biographer, who had a deep personal connection with Bradbury's life and career. Dr. Eller has been an advisor to the library since the collection arrived here. You'll be able to find a letter from former director Richard Lee, who was involved with the library's initial acquisition and oversaw the packing and transportation from Bradbury's LA home to Waukegan. Thank you. And finally, we're including a letter from Ray Bradbury himself, telling you unequivocally what he wanted with his collection as it connected to the Carnegies. So I'm asking for your support and hopefully a vote on December 15th to gift the collection to the Society. I'm asking you to do what Bradbury would have wanted and what's best for the collection and for the community. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do we have any other public comment? Okay. Next, is there a motion to approve the agenda for the Board of Trustees meeting on Wednesday, November 17th, 2021?
I need to approve the agenda.
There's a second. Okay. And next, do we have a motion? Oh, we have to vote. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Okay, that carries. Sorry for jumping there. Next would be the motion to approve the minutes of the Washington Public Library Board of Trustees meeting on October 20th, 2021. Any motions?
I move to approve the minutes of the meeting of October 20th, 2021.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So moving on, next we have the Finance Committee report with Larry.
Thank you. Yes, well, in our packet, we have two documents that are related to the finances of our library. The first document is the summary of actual versus budgeted results for the 6 months ending October 31st, 2021. And we have the good fortune of Anna Griffin here tonight, who is our business manager. Anna, would you possibly contribute to our board tonight and just give a summary of this document here, the summary of actual versus budgeted results for the 6 months ending on October 31st of this year?
Sure.
Thank you.
At the end of October 31st, we are into 6 months of our fiscal year, so we should be about 50% of our budgeted income and expenditure. So of course, some line items, they are not in a consistent basis. But for the month of October, we did receive a little over $500,000 in property tax. I would expect that it's the last of our property tax until maybe next year, and then whatever little trickle will be trickling in. This month, we also see an increase in contributor income. That is the third line in the revenue area. And that is because we receive money for in honor or in memory of Mr. Stinson, who is not the last, but the three directors before. And then also we received $800 for Ann Hamlin. She is one of the volunteers that is work with many of the people for literacy. We also receive about $2,500 in other income. That is from last year's Giving Tuesday. It just takes a while for that to come in. We received some money last year, and then we received some more this because fundraising for Giving Tuesday goes through the foundation. And then in terms of expense, there's no surprises. We did have to fix the elevator. We did have to call somebody in to fix the elevator. So that made our building services at 69% in expenditure. And besides that, we're in good shape, no surprises.
Any questions anyone has on this document? Thank you, Anna. Thank you. All right, well, our finance committee reviewed the monthly disbursements for October of 2021. And we had a motion and seconded it to approve bringing this to the board for approval. So of this meeting tonight. So is there a motion to approve the October 2021 disbursements?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Very good.
No, okay, just kidding. Sorry, I didn't make that motion. You can, but I'm not, it's not advisable. Sorry.
I'll make the motion.
And I do believe this is a roll call, correct?
That is,
Do we have someone who could do the roll? I don't have the list in front of me, unfortunately. Have our remote members do that.
Nathan,
Aye.
Gerardo,
Aye.
Deborah,
Aye.
Kathy,
Aye.
Brian,
Aye.
Rebecca,
Aye.
Larry,
Aye.
myself, aye.
Okay, here's the motion is passed. Thank you.
Okay. Up next is the acting executive director's report.
It's sent to your email inboxes today at 3:39 p.m. I wanted to give a brief update as to the operations of the library. The operations are strong. IT has been working on single login. We've recently adapted to Microsoft 365, so anyone in any building, any place in the library building can access their account from any computer. Take full advantage of Microsoft 365. They've also been working on getting our staff ready for innovative Vega discovery layer, which is on one of our packs over there by the old sorter room. So there's going to be time for our staff to experiment with it for the rest of this month. And then in early December, we'll be launching it to the public as a general, this is how you find stuff at our library layer. Collection management has similarly been working very hard to bring Vega on, and also working on Wi-Fi hotspots, 300 of them. We received 6 cases of Wi-Fi hotspots, and more materials as the supply chain starts to flow in rather than trickle in. Our finance is looking good, thank you, Anna. And work has begun on preparing our budget for the next fiscal year, 23. Can't believe we're already thinking fiscal 23. We sent the budget request to the city, the levy request, and apologies for not sharing that with the Board of Trustees. Beforehand last year, this year was a little different than previous years working with the city, and so we're just adjusting. Our customer service department has been working hard to expand home delivery and reopening the Hingston branch. We're now looking at reopening the building even further. Patron services model we've implemented allows for sharing of responsibility to cover all of our desks and the floor, and allows for far more off-desk time so we can focus on capacity building and relationship building in our community as an organization. The building is fully open though, and our maintenance team has worked hard to bring the Friends of the Library out of the Bradbury room downstairs. They now occupy our sorter room, and they have about 40% more shelving than they had before for their sales stuff. And their Amazon sales have been doing gangbusters. So they've worked very hard in maintenance to make sure that move was smooth. Francisco's been really working hard to make sure the library looks fantastic. That brings all the sales stuff all to one location. So the Friends have vacated their office upstairs, and they'll all be right here on the main floor. We've also been working, Francisco and team have been working hard to put a fresh coat of paint in the children's department, and it's looking very festive. We're also anticipating welcoming outside organizations to come into the building in the new year, like we used to with some groups. Of course, there will be restrictions regarding food, and we'll continue masking so long as there's a mask mandate. But look forward to expansions of hours and expansions of services at the main library and the branch. Our HR department has been working busily working to execute our all-staff training day, which went off without a hitch on November 5th. That was last Friday. 2 Fridays ago, I suppose, and was well received. We've also rolled out a new training module through a company called Traliant. It's delivered via email, so it's basically online training for the required trainings like sexual harassment training that's required by state law. Also, other things like EDI topics that can be shared and taken care of off desk on their own time in the building. We have said adieu to Iris Sosa, who worked for the library for 30 years in the collection management department. So she retired, and we have 4 positions currently open and or posted: marketing and events coordinator, reference librarian, HR manager, and customer service clerk 2. All are full-time and all targeted to be filled by the end of the year. I got to send a shout out to Gary at the city public works department, I presume. They hanged up some library signage around on Sheridan and on Grand, and so it sure helps to have signs pointing the way to the library. So thank you to the city. The library is also gathering statistics for our annual reports, so that's what the staff is currently working on. We do 4 times a year, and this way it's going from November 8th to the 21st. And as a community reminder, the Waukegan Community Broadband Task Force, so kindly named Connect Waukegan, has sent out a survey at random to citizens in Waukegan. And so if you see one in your mailbox, please fill it out and encourage your friends and family and neighbors to do the same. the more we know about the broadband discrepancy in Waukegan, the more we can do to get that solved. There's a lot of funds, including some that are on our agenda tonight, to kind of address some of the shortages or the drought of internet in our community. I'm looking forward to our trustee retreat this Saturday, November 20th, from 2 to 6 p.m. here at the library, and I hope you are too. I look forward to the opportunity to serve, and please do reach out with any time and or feedback that you might want to discuss library business or anything that's on your mind. I'm available at your convenience. So thank you for the opportunity to serve.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Okay, moving to the next part, services report from Gail.
Yes, I did hand out a colorful packet as always to you guys. I'm going to quickly go through it because I do want to spend a bit of time explaining to you Illinois Library Presents, which is the second packet that you have. So in-house programming continues, and as you can tell from the pictures, we are having more and more people attending in-house in our programs. This was our award-winning Mexican folk music band, the first picture, and Cody's sensory-friendly magic, which we were able to target and engage families with children with autism. So we're really making sure that we're filling in those gaps in our community and bringing in things that are aligning with community interest. So there were two big opportunities for community engagement, and you can see John, the trained engineer, and Anna, we're very busy at the Waukegan Park District Trick Trails, handing out over 2,000 candies, books, and giveaways. And then this hard picture to look at is last week, Congressman Greg Snyder and Health and Human Secretary Baracus was here for the pediatric vaccination. And I was there both representing the Waukegan Public Library as well as the NAACPG. And we had an opportunity to just shine a light on the library and what the library has done in response to the pandemic and making sure that our highest risk community members were well taken care of, had information and access to resources. And of course, Brad Snyder spoke very highly of the gym of Waukegan. Next is volunteer recruitment. We could never do what we do, particularly in our adult education area, without volunteers. So we were engaging with the community at the College of Lake County to recruit college students to be trained as adult literacy and ESL tutors, computer lab support, and community health workers. We typically need about 125 volunteers a year when we're in our prime and robust. So we're in the capacity building mode as of now. Another key area for volunteerism here in the library is the Friends. And last month it was to celebrate Friends Week. So they were the Friends and they were out recruiting new membership, as well as giving away packages of cookies. John made a comment about the children's department, and you can see that we're finishing out the painting and really making it robust. We can't forget Lizzie, who has a new home. It's quite happy and healthier apparently in the new home. I do want you to turn your attention to the book displays, and we're making sure again that we're addressing issues that are pertinent here in Waukegan. Social, emotional, and social justice needs. The 2021 must read is down in the children's department. And by popular demand, the K-8 grade themed activity bags are flying off the shelf and continue to be in high demand. For teen and adult services last month, Cindy's Cracky Quarters, the Halloween candy jar. And I think what's really interesting, there's a grown woman with her mom, it was family time, and a single dad with his baby. So again, making sure that we're engaging all aspects of our community to come out and participate in programming. And Sugar Skulls, which is the history of Day of the Dead, and people get to make their own sugar skull and take it home. In adult education services, we are really pushing the envelope with virtual and face-to-face. You can take a look at the numbers for digital literacy, that's 1 month. For adult literacy, it's 1 quarter, and functional health literacy, it's 1 year. But again, that engagement in the community and the delivery of services as we continue to build capacity is important. We're expanding back to other community sites, which allows us to again engage the community where they're at. Funding and donations, I'm only going to talk about one piece because someone was going to talk about the other. But we were fortunate in the first picture to receive 100 one-drop glucose monitors donated by Give in Kind and ShipBob that helps to support our functional health literacy program. We run a 10-week diabetes education empowerment program in Spanish and in English, and these glucose monitors will come in handy with our participants. Biggest thing I wanted to talk about tonight is Illinois Library Presents. We have a second package that I gave you, which is a letter to the board, as well as an intergovernmental agency agreement. Throughout Illinois, and particularly within the Rails group, there is a joint library programming initiative. And the idea is to bring together a number of libraries to then pursue events and activities such as huge authors and programming that would cost $5,000, $10,000 that a library such as ours would never be able to do. But as a part of the initiative, we would pay an annual fee, and then the entire library group would be able to benefit from an author or an event. So we would be able to have, provide high quality, high profile events, reduce the cost per library, and maximize reach. So there will be regional marketing as well as community engagement at our level, but then also regional. So a lot of the money will be invested in making sure community members know about these programs. It also allows access for all libraries as equitably as possible. So as you pay into the collaboration, it's based on your budget. And so again, a smaller library could never afford a $3,000 or $5,000 event. So what does that really mean for us? We've already submitted our interest form for the 6-month pilot, which will guarantee 6 to 12 programs of this large nature, professionally designed marketing materials, tech support for virtual programs. These would be through Zoom. It would be hybrid. It would be at somebody's location, and other participating libraries would be virtual. Data analysis, so you can see from your own demographics. Did you pick something that really makes sense for your community? What is the return? And Zoom access. So the next step would be for you to read that big packet that I gave you, which includes the intergovernmental agency agreement, which we would need to have it signed at our next board meeting to be submitted back to Rails by December 31st, and we would be billed in January. The cost for us based on our budget would be $750. The only additional cost would be $25 to access Zoom. Any questions?
How do they choose the location where the events are going to?
So there are various committees. So there's an events committee, a marketing committee, there's a steering committee. And so there will be a lot of input from all the libraries that are participating. And each one will be sort of independently determined based on sort of audience, location, how many people you could actually have in your building, you know, to make sense that it's beer versus virtual.
Yeah.
Okay.
Question.
Sure.
So how does this differ from Rails, what we're already involved with? We're already a part of Rails, right?
So we are part of Rails, and Rails provides a lot of both operational and marketing support, and it's part of the library system from north to south throughout the middle Illinois. But this would be more of a collaboration. Rails libraries are a part of it, but this part of the initiative is for Rails. But we would have to contribute, each library contributes separately. Does that make sense?
So then this is for us to continue to be, for our library to continue to be a part of Rails?
This is for us specifically to join a 6-month pilot that would give us access to high profile events, authors, programming, both virtually and on site. Things that we would never be able to afford by ourselves.
But on site is Northbrook, is that it?
The sites will vary. Northbrook they started this initiative and they are part of the steering committee, so you do see their name a lot. And the agreement is with Northbrook, but it is throughout the collaborative agreement.
So member libraries of this particular collaborative initiative are, okay, who are the participating libraries in this specific?
So the first, I think 7 or 8 is signed. If you look at the last page of the agreement,
Mhm.
there is a list of all the libraries. And Norfolk is one of them. So the steering committee is Algonquin, Arlington Heights, Dallas Road, Effingham, Evanston, Fairview Heights, Fox River Valley, Niles, Norfolk, Oak Park, Schaumburg, and Shore Ridge Troy. That's the steering committee, and so they are sort of leading the venture of the 6-month pilot. Other libraries, and to date, there's over 100 libraries that have completed their interest forms and are somewhere in the process of joining.
Well, just my own opinion is that, I mean, it sounds like a great thing, but I mean, how practical is it for someone from Waukegan to get to Effingham or Fairview Heights, or Fox River Valley, or Oak Park, or Shorewood Troy? I don't even know where some of these places are.
So if the program itself was housed at a different site, no matter where, it would be virtual for everyone else. And sort of like, not to talk about our own virtual abilities, but not necessarily at the level of virtual that we've been doing for the past year. We're talking about high-tech, high-end, a virtual seamless event.
So that there's nothing that we would have anything, our library planned, is that correct?
In the 6-month pilot, there is no guarantee. So we can all sort of lobby, if you will, to be a site, but it's going to depend on what the programs are and then what the requirements are in terms of space, et cetera. I think that, you know, one of the ways to think about this is we always want to make sure that we're bringing in things for our community members who don't have access. But our reality is Waukegan is a very diverse community. And we do not reach many of our other community members who do have technology and who would enjoy some of these high-end programs. So it's a way that will allow us to really spread out through the community and serve sort of, if you will, a wider gamut of our community.
Go ahead.
No.
Just one more quick question. What is considered, do we have any idea what a typical high-end program would look like or what it would be?
One program that they've given the example is Ibrahim, who did the anti-racism book, and they did an author. So this was an example, and his fee was $10,000. Before the initiative sort of moved to where it is today, Northbrook and 5 other libraries did it collaboratively, and they were able to bring a $10,000 event to their participant, you know, to their patrons virtually. So I'm not by any stretch of the imagination saying you're all social justice and those kind of topics, but the example of a $10,000 event that we would never be able to afford. And so we would then say, this is something we're interested in. You know, even though there are events, doesn't mean you have to participate too.
If I may, Gail, to give it some context, a typical program is anywhere between $350 and $750 for a presenter to come into our building. I mean, we've seen the gamut in terms of cost. For bands, they're far more expensive, but this is not a super expensive venture and an opportunity for us to provide more outside presenters to our community that we would currently have to go and get ourselves.
So then after the 6 months, then you would kind of evaluate at that point to see like, hey, what's the
Right,
engagement?
the whole program is
Is it
evaluated,
yeah.
exactly.
Is it worth proceeding?
Mhm.
So just one more time. So would we have some way of tracking how many participants we would have
Yes.
from this particular, who would be on the Zoom?
So that's part of the data analysis. We'd be able to look globally at all participants, but we'd also be able to look at ours specifically.
So you people would have an option to come here to watch virtually and they could watch at home.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you, Gail.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next, we have the Friends and Foundation update.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm Loretta Podley. I'm the current president of the Washington Public Library Foundation. And we are starting, we're venturing out to see how best we can work with the friends. We're kind of in the very baby step of that due to all sorts of schedule conflicts and of course the pandemic. But it's always great to be here, always amazing to hear about what the library is doing in the community. And that's what gets us all fired up to raise money to support what's going on at the library. So that's our role, is to help raise funds for the library. Like a lot of organizations, the pandemic has been a challenge in a lot of different ways. But I do want to catch up a little bit on some of the things that are happening that haven't quite hit the finances yet, but you'll be seeing them soon. So we just wrapped up a joint collaborative venture with Dripping Culture. Has anybody been to Dripping Culture yet? Had some fantastic coffee. If you've been there, then you know, but if you haven't, Adam and Lydia are our neighbors and fabulous entrepreneurs in the area. And they worked with us to do a promotion where they sold merchandise with a design that Lydia designed on t-shirts, mugs, bags. And they gifted us, if you follow the Instagram, you see that they gifted us with $700, which is lovely. Now coming up, after you have your fabulous retreat on Saturday, we'd like to invite you all back on Sunday. I don't know if you're all aware, but a portion of every full beer tour from Nightshade and Dark's Pandemonium Brewery comes to the Library Foundation. So they are actually all throughout the pandemic, they never wavered. They are a really nice source of constant income for us. So we're going to be doing a little thank you event with them on Sunday. So before you have to go spend time with your family, please join us, come and have a good time, have some beer. There'll be food available for purchase. It's going to be a fairly casual sort of fundraising event. Of course, we're going to ask people for money, but in a very low key way where people will be able to tip the library, and hopefully through QR code, if they want to donate virtually, they can donate, and the QR code will go to our PayPal account, which is attached here to the library's website. And then, in support of the library's effort to get out more and reach out more, our next kind of big push is going to be to raise money for an outreach van. As you all know, we don't have a bookmobile or anything like that, and that's not really what we're looking for. But what we want to do is have a vehicle for the library that's customized to take the library to the people. As you all know, parts of Waukegan are fairly under-resourced. Not everybody can get here physically to the building. So what we want to do is to support and empower our library staff with other great programs and ideas to take it to the people. So look for that coming soon. And that'll be part of our Giving Tuesday initiative. We're going to be kind of kicking it off then and then pushing through until we hit our goal. A note about Giving Tuesday. In years past, we have done it in connection with Facebook because Facebook has like the little sardine they hold out to the seals. We're going to match your money. We're going to match your money. Then they don't match your money. Worse than that, they held on to our money for nearly what, 9 months? Yeah. So while you might see it being pushed on Facebook and Instagram, we're going to try and encourage people to contribute directly to the library so we don't have that big gap between our friends donating money and it actually showing up on our books, because that's just uncomfortable. And we think Mr. Zuckerberg has enough money. Post that, you'll be seeing at some point, we'll be doing an annual appeal as well. So that'll be a hybrid approach where it's both mail and again, an online option with a QR code. So for the folks who, there's a large portion of donors who have not yet moved online. So we try to accommodate everybody with both purchases. Also, we're looking for membership. So should you have friends who are passionate about the library and interested in serving on the Library Foundation board, we'd love to meet them. Have them shoot us an email, shoot us a resume, and we would love to chat. Any questions?
When is the event on Sunday?
It's in your packet, in the packet that I gave you on the funding and donations page, their flyer is included.
It's gonna be from 4 to 6 at night, shade and dark.
Is over there?
Yes, kitty corner.
Okay.
And what else? We're gonna have door prizes. You give us your. We're gonna beef up our donor database, so if people are willing to fill out a little slip of paper that has their name, address, and mail and phone number, we'll put them in the entry for a door prize.
Is the collaboration with Drift Culture ongoing? Like, will they continue to sell the bags and or is that now done?
It's time limited and they're out of merchandise.
Okay.
So, I mean, we hope it worked really well. We really like them. It was a nice smooth collaboration. So we hope to do something like that in the future, but they're kind of, it's kind of their goal, their motto is socially minded.
Mhm.
So I think they have moved on to another organization and I think they'll kind of cycle through it. Hopefully they'll cycle back to us. And credit to, it was actually a library staff person who connected us with them. So credit to the awesome library staff who are so committed that they take the message of the Waukegan Public Library out to the street. That was Jennifer. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving along to the rest of our agenda. Up next, we have the Waukegan Public Library Board bylaws update approval. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the bylaws update.
As presented?
Pardon?
As presented?
As presented.
Second,
I'll second.
thank you. This one's a roll call. Everyone do a roll call. Okay,
Do we have a discussion opportunity or?
after is this, we have to vote and then we discuss, right?
Well, after you vote, it's done, so I would encourage you to have the discussion now that there's a motion on the floor.
Okay, so, yes.
So there's an opportunity for discussion. Okay. So I'm just curious, is this, have this in our packet prior to this meeting tonight? Was this prior in our meeting, prior to in our last packet? I'm just curious.
It was, we outlined what was being added
No, we have this document in our last.
in the last meeting.
Our board meeting.
Yes, it was discussed at the last board meeting and sent out in the board packet.
So what's being added is just to clarify, so what's being added is the secretary's responsibilities and the is regarding electronic attendance of these board members to these meetings, is that what was-
And the development committee.
which is being eliminated, is that right?
No, it's just adding that they would be part of fundraising. Fundraising would be part of that.
But it isn't part of the responsibility now. Is that correct?
Correct.
So the fundraising is not currently part of that responsibility.
Correct. I think in 2017, when they modified the bylaw last, they eliminated the fundraising. That's one of the pieces of the board is to liaise with the foundation and have a member who attends foundation meetings. And so this kind of builds that back in to the process. And although we don't necessarily want trustees to feel obligated to go out and make the ask, you may know somebody who knows somebody and be able to connect them with our foundation. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, now we will vote on approving the updates to the balance. Nathan?
Aye.
Gerardo,
Aye.
Deborah,
Aye.
Kathy,
Aye.
Brian. Aye. Rebecca, Larry.
Aye.
And Ron, aye. Okay, that was approved. Awesome. Up next, we have approved agreement to contract with Innovative Interfaces for Vega Discovery Layer. Motion. Those for lack of a motion? Mike, so the item was died for a lack of a motion? Okay. Okay.
Well, okay, may I ask a question?
Yeah.
So this is the approval agreement to contract with Innovative Interfaces with Data Discovery Layer. Is that the one that says WAUKP? Is that what we're speaking about?
Right, yeah, if I could give some context.
I don't understand what this
Sure.
is, so maybe that's.
Yeah,
Sure.
that would.
We
I have no
contract with a company called Innovative Interfaces to do our catalog. Sierra is the name of the catalog we currently have. And for the, I don't know, time immemorial, we've done year-to-year contracts with Innovative, which each year sees a 5% increase. And so in talks with Innovative, we are one of the only libraries in Illinois to pilot their new discovery layer, and we're getting it for free, gratis. But one of the things is they suggested that we negotiate and do a 3-year contract at 1% increase per annum to that contract. And so instead of 5% per year, it would only be 1% for each of the next 3 years. And so over the next 3 years, the library taxpayer will see a savings of $53,898 by contracting for a 3-year contract versus a 1-year contract. This also gives the Discovery Layer Vega an option for people to use that to find things in the library. And so it's just makes good fiscal sense. And it certainly is going to be nice to have some upgrades to the public facing catalog.
Sorry, if I may add, the library geek out questions. What are some of the, what are some of the innovations or what are some of the improvements that you think that you are hoping for them to do?
So what we currently have is Sierra's older web pack, and that one is kind of clunky looking. I think it's more for the appearances, but it also has a unified search versus a traditional search. So you basically becomes a Google search for our library catalog. So you type in a part of the title, even if it's wrong, it can provide that title to you. And what it does, instead of having all the different titles in the different formats listed, it would be under one heading, Call of the Wild, in all the different formats that are available at our library. And if there are no physical items, there's a red X, and you can go and find it on Overdrive or Hoopla. And so if people don't find the physical book, they can still get the ebook, but it all brings it into one record rather than having them all listed across the whole page.
Okay. No, that's super helpful.
So just to clarify, we're still paying for the service, but they're giving us the discovery layer free.
May I ask a question about, thank you. So, looking at this in our packet, I mean, it's like, I don't even know how many pages this is. This is like page after page, one is 4. There's an ABCD apparently, that he has 17 different pages, all small print contractual kinds of stuff. I mean, I'm just like, whoa.
I have to apologize for sharing the whole contracts in their whole, but I'd rather share too much information.
No. But I just feel kind of overwhelmed. I mean, do we need to have someone would be advisable to have our attorney look at this to be sure we're not signing up for agreeing something we don't know we're signing agreeing to?
I've had an opportunity to review the contract, and there isn't anything in there that I think is problematic for the library. The one thing that I highlighted for John was that you reported this as 1% for your contract for 3 years. After that time, it has an auto renewal clause in it that renews at a 5% per year rate, I believe. You've talked to the vendor, I believe, on that.
Correct, and as we draw closer to the end of the 3 years, if we're satisfied with the service, we can renegotiate the contract and go back to, I believe, 1%, or maybe, it's certainly not 5%. 5% is killing us.
Oh. Well, then that's helpful to know it's been reviewed by our attorney. There's just a lot of small print that. You get it. Yeah.
As part of the pilot, will you be, giving feedback? Will the public have an opportunity to give feedback based on the results and?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, any motions to approve the agreement contract with Innovative Interfaces for data discovery layer?
I make a motion.
Okay. That would need a roll call, I believe, right? Okay, so Nathan,
Aye.
Eduardo,
Aye.
Deborah,
Aye.
Kathy,
Aye.
Brian,
Aye.
Rebecca,
Aye.
Larry,
Aye.
myself, aye. Okay. Up next, so passes. Up next, we have the spending $103,220 for Wi-Fi hotspot expansion, which is reimbursable by FCC Emergency Connectivity Fund. That's all. Ask if there's any questions first. We'll present on this perhaps.
Sure. Learned back May or June that there were going to be somewhere around $7 billion released to the public from the federal government to provide fill the gap with the internet. There's a lot of drought in our country for access to the internet. And so the federal government put $7 billion out there to libraries, schools, organizations, not-for-profits to apply. And we thought we didn't qualify because we do not filter our internet, but because these are not on our network, they're their own devices, we're paying for the service and not for the equipment. So this $103,320 will go toward a monthly fee to T-Mobile that will be paid and reimbursed as we are paying the bill. So this is completely at no cost to the taxpayers for 300 Wi-Fi hotspots to be circulated. Our Wi-Fi hotspot program kicked off, I believe, in June. Slow going to start, but now every single one of our 20 Wi-Fi hotspots are checked out to the public and there's a wait list. And so this expands that program by tenfold. That is based on 1 per 500 people in the city of Waukegan, one Wi-Fi hotspot. And that's a conservative estimate. I mean, we could have done far more and probably gotten, it wasn't, but it's basically an application process. So this would put 300 Wi-Fi hotspots into the hands of the people of Waukegan to circulate, take on vacation, borrow for home internet, whatever the case may be, no questions asked. And as long as they return them, this will be covered. And of course, at the end of 1 year, we'll have to see. I've heard that the federal government has talked and they just passed $1 trillion budget. So I'm sure that there's discussion about how to extend this beyond a year. We would be allowed by T-Mobile to cut off the Wi-Fi hotspots that we don't want to keep in service. So depending on $103,000 is not the flavor of expenses for a library of our size, maybe we scale back toward the end of this year. But it certainly is a worthwhile venture and puts the internet into a lot more people's hands. And it's where the library is going, circulating things more than just books.
Do you have to pay T-Mobile, or if somebody doesn't return it, or do you bill patrons, or how does that work?
We've had one patron thus far not returned, so as soon as it goes overdue, it's shut off, it becomes a paperweight, and we then will start reaching out. Since we've only had one, we haven't really stressed out too much about it. It's about a $90 fee for the brick, for the Wi-Fi hotspot, 10 or paying for the plug and all the other pieces that come along with it, but we will put a block on their account. So we don't have fines. We are a fine-free library, so there's no daily fine, weekly fine. But there would be a fee if they don't return it within, I think it goes into loss at 6 weeks. So if it goes into loss, they will be charged the 90 plus the 15 for the charger. So about $105. And that basically means they can't use their card until they bring it back. Bring it back, we'll take it off the account, no problems, no questions asked. We just want the device back.
So we're confident that we would get this reimbursement back from the FCC for that $103,000.
Correct. Guaranteed. I've actually received about 5 things in the mail from other companies that are jumping on the bandwagon, trying to get onto the ECF funds. So we're already ahead of the ballgame in terms of having these in our hands, ready to circulate them now as a process.
Okay. Do we have a motion to expend $103,320 for Wi-Fi hotspot expansion, reimbursable by FCC Emergency Connectivity Fund?
I'll make a motion to approve that expenditure.
One second.
Roll call, I assume so. Nathan?
Aye.
Gerardo?
Aye.
Deborah?
Aye.
Kathy?
Aye.
Brian?
Aye.
Rebecca?
Aye.
Larry?
Aye.
Myself, aye as well. Okay. That is approved. Next on the agenda is the library closures for 2022 and board meeting schedule. Last 2 pages, I think, in the packet. Any questions? No? Maybe.
I have a question. Is this similar to what most libraries do in Lake County?
It's close, I would say. Last year, there was some question about whether the holidays were paid or unpaid, so we've added the difference on some of these are paid days and not paid days. Like, for example, Juneteenth became a national holiday. The library, though, has a vested interest in participating in programming on that day, and so we'll be, staff will be working, but the building will be closed. We'll still be out in the community doing things. And so it's pretty close. It's mostly the big holidays. We don't close for minor holidays, but we could. It would be at the pleasure of the board to close on certain days, like MLK Day or whatnot. But this is pretty standard for most of our libraries in the neighborhood. We also included the trustee board meeting dates that have necessity to be approved as well. So now this is basically our yearly calendar for open and closed and board meetings.
Just out of curiosity. Why wouldn't Labor Day be a paid holiday?
The actual Labor Day holiday is the Sunday before. It was only if somebody was not working that Monday, for example, but it's a day the library is closed in observation.
Oh.
But only one of the Labor Day holiday days are paid.
Do we have a motion to approve the library closures for 2022 and board meeting schedule?
I'll make a motion to approve the library closures for 2022 and the board meeting schedule.
I'll second.
Roll call. Nathan?
Aye.
Gerardo?
Aye.
Deborah?
Aye.
Kathy?
Aye.
Brian?
Aye.
Rebecca?
Aye.
Larry?
Aye.
And myself, aye. Okay, that passed. And Last on that part of the agenda is an update on the Ray Bradbury collection from John.
So I sent a pretty beefy email to the trustees today that included lots of attachments, which I will share, of course, with our folks from the Historical Society after this meeting. I wanted to give you a caveat, that is that I started work at the library in 2018. So Selena at the time was in charge of making determinations about the collection, and it had been moved about from place to place. It wasn't a storage unit, it was brought into our building. Only since February of 2020 did I actually have any authority and or decision-making responsibility with regards to the collection. I want to give you a brief history because many of you are new and don't really know much about the collection yet. And I wanted to provide the information a month in advance of any time a decision would be made. So again, as Lori mentioned, or as Josh mentioned, towards the December board meeting would be when we would perhaps make a decision. I just wanted to provide information. In context, Ray Bradbury passed away in June of 2012, and in his will, he had given his personal collection from his home in California, LA, California, to the library. There was an appraisal by John Henley and another gentleman, I forget his name off the top of my head, Patrick Ella, in 2013, at which point the collection was given a fair market value of about $431,038. In 2013, the collection was finalized, and as was mentioned, former director Richard Lee and a moving company from Illinois transported the collection from LA, California to Waukegan, Illinois, where it went into a storage unit and was handled on a box by box basis. From 2015 to 18, we had a dedicated staff member, part-time, archivist, librarian, work with the collection in documenting what is in the collection using a software called Past Perfect, which is a acquisitions collection management software for museums and libraries. It was moved some point in time between 2018 and 19 to our grounds into the garage, climate controlled garage, and has lived in the electrical room since about 2019, late 2019 or 2020 in a dry, safe room. In 2019 and 20, the collections were evaluated by volunteers, at which point Jonathan Eller came for a visit in late 2019 and said, please do not sell these things until we can determine what the core collection is. Some of those books may have letters within or pieces of ephemera that are tucked away. And so we didn't, of course, start selling anything. Selena at the time said, no, we are not selling a single thing until we have a full understanding of what we have. About February of 22, I started working with the collection and working with the librarians at that time, Gabriel, to kind of continue the documentation of what was in each of the boxes, some of them still in their moving boxes from 2013. In October, November, a request from our Parks and Historical Society to acquire portions of the collection for display. I also received a request early October 2020 from Sandy Petrosius from the Ray Bradbury Experience Museum for display of portion of the collection, at which point we put it on hold until we can determine the best way to handle the collection. In May of this year, the board approved the appraisal, and the appraisal recently came back. It was done late July, early August. He went back to Oregon to document what was in his appraisal, and we received the appraisal early November 2021, and the fair market value had increased to $1.2 million.
Whoa.
Now that, again, the caveat in regards to I will share everything with you so you can read through with a fine tooth comb, but only roughly 60% of the actual collection was appraised. So in any appraisal situation, they only appraise a portion. They don't appraise the whole thing. And that, as I grew up with people who did auctions and went and bought lots of antiques, the only thing worth has value if you have a buyer. And so that is a speculative number. I think, again, in keeping with what the Ray Bradbury's collection could be to the library, I don't know what my predecessors had in mind in terms of plans for the collection, although I'm sure that they wanted to make the point of using the collection to forward our mission and vision, our mission, which is to provide the path to empower and support learning and discovery, the vision pieces in our community. So again, we started talking with the Parks and the Historical Society as a perfect opportunity, a great way to display the collection and get the collection working again, because we had basically stalled on the collection when our archivist left for a job in Tennessee. That being said, there's a lot of potential. I'll let you read through I won't go, we're getting close at 7:33 already, so I won't go into too much detail about what I've written here. But there is potential for the collection to fulfill our mission and vision, either if we retain ownership or we donate the collection or we have a loan agreement. Ultimately, it is again, I've given some options toward the end, and I think it's in the best interest to maintain ownership of the collection, at least a portion of the collection. It can be determined. We had, as early as February of 2021, with Douglas and the attorneys from the Historical Society, started a loan agreement. And at this point, it will be up to the Board of Trustees what to do with this collection. And I just wanted to, again, what an amazing opportunity to once in a lifetime. I mean, this guy is ephemeral. He is canonical when it comes to science fiction. He's an amazing author and a son of Waukegan for the first 8 years of his life. And I think, again, as far as what the library stands to benefit from owning this collection has yet to be fully discovered. And I just wanted to give you some options in terms of what we could do. I know that Gene in one of our last meetings wanted to know apples to apples, how we can compare. It's incredibly difficult to say with certainty what things are going to be, but I just wanted to give you some options. And again, there will be in a December meeting with an opportunity to vote, or if the board so desires to wait and make more time lapse between, that's up to you. But I just wanted to provide the information about a month in advance. You have plenty of time. This is the original appraisal. It was 53 pages, and the new appraisal that we received is roughly 70 pages. So there's a lot of reading to do. As Larry mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, it's an awful lot of information to take in right before today's meeting. So I wanted to provide the information and ask if you would like to meet and discuss, or we could set up meetings with the Historical Society and Parks to find more about what they want to do or what their timeline looks like. I mean, it's up to you, Board of Trustees. I just wanted to provide you with an executive summary of where we are today, where we came from, and how we came to acquire this collection. I did throw in a couple of quotes from old Ray Bradbury himself, and that is that, without libraries, what have we? We have no past and no future. That's a quote from Ray. And then I spent 3 days a week for 10 years educating myself in the public library, and it's better than college. People should educate themselves. You can get a complete education for no money. At the end of 10 years, I had read every book in the library, and I'd written 1,000 stories. With that, I'll leave you to think and ponder until next month's meeting.
Right, guess on the next part would be announcements. So, Douglas, I think you have one.
Taking off my mask only because I know that you guys have difficulty hearing me through the mask. I did want to let the board know that today we received the formal certified election results from the preference poll for the union. It does appear that at this point they are going to be one bargaining unit. In terms of sort of what the next steps are, just so you guys have sort of a sense, we would anticipate that they'll send their demand to bargain in fairly short order, after which point we'll have to start working with you to understand what you want to do in terms of things like compensation for your employees. So start thinking about what a compensation package looks like, start thinking about how you want that contract to look, and we'll certainly continue to have meetings with you, take you into closed session and work through some of those issues as we go through the process.
I guess we'll just keep going in the order that I had before, just around the table. So, do you have any comments?
No comments.
Sorry.
My comment, just the gratitude of donations coming in. It's been a tough year for everyone, especially financially, and labor gets stretched out as far as it can, and with that ties in this compensation and the money. But very grateful that there are institutions and organizations in the community helping out with that. Thank you.
Deborah?
Just that, we got a lot of information to review in a short amount of time. So, I do better with less information and a little bit more time to review it. I got through it all, you see my tabs, but I just thought I'd bring that up. Other than that, great meeting. Thank you.
Kathy?
Great meeting, and I really appreciate the Historical Society being here and making the presentation and the handouts.
Thank you. Brian?
Yeah, so it's great to hear all the work that the foundation is doing, working with these local businesses, really helping put their name out, put our name out, which is really good. And especially the fact that staff was the one that got us in contact with them. That's a really good thing to see in terms of us working all together.
I don't have any comments.
Right, well, I would, I'm happy for the Historical Society taking their time tonight to come by and present their vision for the future of their endeavor to develop Carnegie Library on behalf of the library collection. And this is a very significant priceless collection. There's lots of critical decisions that need to be made about this. There aren't many libraries, I would think, in the United States that have something like this. So this is a major undertaking, so we need to be reflective on that this coming month. There's lots there. And I would also be thankful for the Friends for all they're doing for our library community. And, you know, it's been a good meeting. Thank you.
Again, kudos to all the staff that have been putting on these great events that Gail tells us about, all the hard work that I hear that everyone's doing. So, thank you. Okay. Do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'm open to it.
Okay. Do you have a second? Okay, all in favor? All opposed? Good. Thank you. Meeting is adjourned at 7:34.